This time of year, there's no place I'd rather be than an island, or somewhere where I can put my toes in the sand. So for today's list, we're gonna be breaking down some islands that are odd in some way or another. Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Here are the top 10 islands that cannot be explained. Kicking off the list at number 10, Vulcan Point. This one for sure scratches the brain, okay? You may be thinking islands that don't make sense. It's not just a piece of land in the middle of a body of water. What's the big deal here? Well, most of the time, yeah, that's what an island is. But Vulcan Point, things get weird. It kind of depends where you're standing on this one. This island is located in the Philippines, and it's an island that's on a lake that's also surrounded by an island that's on the Pacific Ocean. Got it? Me neither. Number 9, Island of the Dolls, Mexico. Island of the Dolls already sounds like the scariest place on earth. Let's dive in. Isla de la Manicas, the island is famous for having dolls spread throughout it. Yep, hundreds of dolls are just on this island, doll parts nailed to the trees. It's just horrible. A resident by the name of Julian Santa Barrera is responsible for these dolls. He did so after finding a body in a canal after they were reported as missing. And to this day, nobody dares to approach this island. They would much rather snap a few pics from their boat, which is probably a much better idea. If it didn't look haunted before with demons, it surely does now. Thanks, Julian. Number 8, McNabs Island, Halifax. Home to dazzling parklands and gorgeous beaches, McNabs Island, located in Halifax Harbor, has a grim history. From the late 1700s to the early 19th century, the military would use the island, specifically Moher Beach, to leave bodies on display. Yeah, how awful is that? Imagine pulling up and seeing that. Yuck. Executed criminals would just be scattered on this beach. The owner of a fishing business, Peter McNab, hence the island's name, is said to be seen roaming this beach. Of course, in ghostly fashion, he's said to be roaming without a head. Just a headless guy walking around on the beach getting a tan. That's horrible. 4 friends visited the unpopulated island 15 years ago, and they used 2 canoes, 2 of them on each canoe. Quick maths. Boom. 2 of them left on Saturday night, and the next day, one of the remaining 2 woke up, and the other young man had drowned out of nowhere. Everybody wanted to blame that last guy, of course, but there wasn't enough evidence to follow through, and they determined that it was just an accidental drowning. Haunted island, or rough waters, or maybe a serial killer. We don't know. This one has everything. Number 7, Garbage Island. This is a pretty sad one on our list today, folks. The sea is full of aquatic, wonderful life. It's littered in treasure that has yet to be found, but sadly, it's also littered in litter. Yeah, there's an unbelievable amount of garbage out there as well. Just floating. Humans kind of suck. Right on the surface of the ocean, we have something called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. They call it a patch, but really it's an island. It's massive. It's located safely in the North Pacific subtropical gyre. There's basically 4 of these large systems, and now they're just swirling ocean currents, moving warm, cold water around with also garbage. We're just moving garbage around our planet. A plastic bag was recently found at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, so now we have the deepest piece of trash. That is a new low. Pun intended. This great garbage patch is larger than you think also. When I say island, you may be thinking, oh, is it this? Is it this? No, it's actually twice the size of Texas. Yeah, let that sink in. Number 6, Poviglia Island, Italy. The small island of Poviglia has taken many, many lives. It all started when the bubonic plague arrived there in 1348. The island instantly became a quarantine colony. So if you had symptoms or anything like that, you were sent to this island to recover, but in sad reality, they were just sent to the island to die. Again, in 1630, the Black Death crept in, and then once again, the center of the island became a mass graveyard. This was like the go-to spot for bodies in sickness. In the 1800s, the mentally ill residents were then sent to this island as an asylum was then built. The rumor was that in the 1930s, this doctor tried crazy experiments on those patients, but then he himself ended up going crazy and he jumped from the tall bell tower. And although the tower doesn't stand there anymore, his screams are still heard by locals. Another haunted island. We love to see it. The soil is 50% human remains at this point, so if you're looking to plant some haunted aloe vera, well, there's your spot. Number 5, Easton Beach, Rhode Island. Back in 1750, the Seabird, this big beautiful ship, slowly arrived and washed up on the shore of Easton's Beach. There was a big breakfast waiting on the table inside the ship. The kettle was boiling on the stove, but there was no sign of a crew anywhere near. Everything looked fine, no chairs were flipped, there were no frozen clocks, nothing haunting at all, no signs of violence or anything, paranormal. What makes this story creepy is that after the cargo was unloaded, the Seabird itself vanished overnight. So things are just disappearing. First it was the crew, and then the actual ship. Some believe the forces of the island took the crew and then soon after took the Seabird. What do you guys think? Tell us down below. Ghost Island? I think so. Wonder if there's a Ghost Island boy. That's like the boss you have to fight. You have to rap battle him. Number 4, Palmerston Island. Palmerston Island is a coral ring located in the Cook Islands in the Pacific Ocean. Palmerston itself is a very small islet and a series of small islets that are located on this ring of coral. It's like a big coral reef ring that encloses a lagoon. So it's an island, but it's, it's kind of an island. It's close enough. The only one of these that's inhabited, it's named Home. Pretty good name. The closest island to Palmerston is Rarotonga, which is the capital of the Cook Islands, and it would be about a 2-day sailing trip just to make the 500-kilometer distance. So if you're looking for any forbidden islands or, islands that are hard to get to, this is the one you need to take. / don't do this, you'll get lost and then no one will find you again. But if you aren't already on that island or planning a stop at both islands, the closest trip then would be about an 8-day sail from Tahiti. Since the island is so small, there of course is no airport or no ships can pass by there or anything like that. The only ships that can visit are the ones that are small enough to go over the reef. Yeah, the reef only allows room for smaller boats to pass through, which makes any kind of large ship unsafe to pass through there. And no one's gonna go to this place in a small little dinky boat. That sounds like a one-way trip. You want a bigger boat with more supplies, but you can't get there because of the reef. The island does see a tropical climate, but it's very exposed to tropical cyclones, which of course would cause a whole bunch of problems if you were to visit this. So imagine the island. All right, that's it. Don't go there. Boom. Next. Number 3. Falkland Islands, United Kingdom. Back in August 1980, a Royal Marine named Eilean Mor was seen for the last time. On August 8th, Addis and a bunch of other Marines met up in the village hall. There were about 50 locals there as well, so it was pretty packed. It was a social night. Everyone was having a good time. The Marines left in groups at different times throughout the evening, but until 1:30 a.m., Addis was still there. People saw him there. That's important. Now, the next morning, all the Marines left to head back to base, but after sailing for 30 minutes, they realized we don't have Addis. He's still missing. They called his mother and said he was missing, but the next day they told her that he may have drowned accidentally. No one really knew at this point. A sea and air search was obviously underway shortly after, and for a few weeks they looked and looked, but they couldn't find anything. The following year, in April, Argentine forces invaded the islands, and this was known as the Falklands War. And during this time, the police files on Addis' disappearance were lost. So now we'll never know. We think that they were deliberately destroyed to avoid British military deployment information being leaked into Argentine hands, but at this point, who knows? That's why we're doing spooky, mysterious islands. This is what you wanted. Number 2, Eilean Mor, Scotland. What better island to visit than one with nobody on it, right? No one bugging you, you can walk around naked, try the bagpipe and stuff, get used to it, sound like a place. You're all alone, have fun. In 1900, a ship was heading to Falkland Islands, completely uninhabited, and on the ship we had Captain James Harvey and Joseph Moore. They were heading there to watch the lighthouse, but upon arrival, nobody greeted them beforehand. He blew his horn, they waited, still nobody came down. There would be a ship change, right? But no one was coming down at this point, so it's like, The replacement lighthouse keeper rowed to shore and then started walking up the steep set of stairs towards the lighthouse, but when he got there, he realized that the door was unlocked. It was kicked in, and then 2 of the 3 coats were also missing. Odd. Upon further investigation, he saw half-eaten food, a chair that had been tossed over, and the kitchen clock had stopped working. Hence why I mentioned that earlier. No sign of the keepers also, which is haunting. And when checking the lighthouse's log, the previous days were odd, what was written down. On the December 12th log, the second assistant, Thomas Marshall, wrote, "Severe winds, the likes of which I have never seen before in 20 years, but James was awfully quiet. And William, the 3rd lad, was crying the whole time." Well, sinister vibes for sure in that journal log. This is like the lighthouse movie in real life. I'm not on board with this. I'm never going here ever. No thank you. And finally, coming in number 1, Roanoke Island, North Carolina. Just off the coast of what is now North Carolina, back in August 1587, around 100 English settlers arrived to Roanoke Island. We had John White, the governor of the new colony, and he had to sail back to England to grab more supplies. Now, while he was away, a naval war broke out between England and Spain, so his commute was obviously delayed a tad. He got back 3 years later in 1590 with said supplies. He's like, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late. There was a naval war, you know how it is." Upon arrival, however, nobody was there anymore. His wife, daughter, granddaughter, everyone among the 100 or so inhabitants, they all vanished. The only hint as to where they went or what happened was the words Crow carved onto a tree. Croatoan was the name of the Native American tribe that lived on the island as well, but after looking for evidence, theories, even archaeological exploration, experts still actually can't figure this one out. Little fun fact, I've actually been to this island back when I was 16, so this one really creeps me out. I found this out after I went, which is like a nice feeling. I think that's better? I don't know. Guys, before we wrap this video up, we're gonna read some comments from top 10 NASA reports that shocked the world. Let's do it. David E. Poole says, "Back when I was a kid, less than 10 years old, my mom got struck by lightning and I ran through the phone line while she was talking on the phone. Her hair instantly stood on one end like someone had rubbed a balloon on her hair. Luckily, she was just shaken up and not badly injured." Yeah, I thought that was always a myth where you can like talk on the phone and then you get zapped, but after reading all those reports and hearing you, I'm never talking to anyone on the phone again. That's why I don't answer any calls. When someone calls me, I'm like, no, leave a message, text me. I don't do that shit anymore. Dreco Dre says, "How does Pluto have moons, yet we don't consider it a planet?" Because NASA sucks, that's why. No, it's because it's a dwarf planet. It's not big enough. We thought it was bigger when we were looking, but then we're like, oh, hang on, let's clear this off. No, it's actually tiny. We lied. Scratch it. 8 planets. And finally, our last comment is from Teddy in Japan. "What's up? I'm Taylor from Canada. Like to see it? You seem like a cool dude that would be fun to have a beer with." Teddy, you have no idea. Link up. Let's do it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Most Amazing Top 10. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters, and we'll see you next time. Peace.